This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everybody. I would like to call the Chesterfield Township Committee meeting on April 10, 2025 at 7 p.m. to order.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Denise.
We will start with a, flag salute and a moment of silence.
I can hear you and see you. I guess you can't hear me.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you hear them?
I apologize for the confusion.
I just texted her to
Denise is not well. She's nursing a broken shoulder, so she's dialing in from home. Give her one more minute so that we can hear us and we can hear her.
Right here.
We'll read this and do the roll call, okay?
Please.
Pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting
I
has been
can't hear you now.
noticed with
Hold
the
on a second.
body and the township clerk, mailing written notice to the township's official newspapers and the township website, posting written notice on the official bulletin board in the Chesterfield Township Municipal Building, and providing notice to all who have requested same. Ms. Batra?
Here.
Ms. Hughes?
Here.
Ms. Codesdale? She's not hearing us. Mr. Litt?
Here.
Mr. Dopty?
Here.
Just have her call in.
I don't know why I'm having problems with this when I wasn't having problems before.
Can you hear me now, Denise?
Is anybody talking?
Yes, Denise. Can you hear us now?
I'm just going to have her call
Can you
me.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I just texted her to call me.
I hope it's recording.
This is, yeah, it's recording.
What's wrong with you?
I'm going to have to mute her here, though.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I would.
Okay, moving on. Item number 3 is any agenda matters requiring recusal. Okay. Section 4.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Let me just call her
This
real
is so
quick.
annoying.
We can hear you, Denise. Can you hear us?
She could in the beginning.
Maybe she can sign out. Ask her to go off and come back.
She's not answering the phone now.
Hello?
Hang on one second.
Okay. I
Denise,
can hear
Denise?
you. I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
You can hear us through the computer?
I can hear you now, yes.
Great.
All right, I'm
All right, I'm going to hang up my phone. So if it's
Well, maybe
that,
you
then
better
call us
leave it
back.
on just in case, because it might be your phone coming through my computer.
I just muted. It's only through, I'm only hearing you through my phone. Okay. You can hear us all okay, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So let's get started. Approval of the minutes, regular and executive session. Recuse my.
Hold on one second.
Denise,
You have
your computer muted. Okay.
So can I have a motion? Well, can I request a motion?
Yes. Yeah.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain.
I abstain too.
Okay, let's move on to the fun part. Next section, swearing in of new police officers. Jake uh, Piantanida, Jake Piantanida and James Zalvino. So who are we going to start first with? Jake?
You have a relative here? If you want to go over in front of all that, then you're all good. Put your hand on the Bible.
I, Jake Piantanida,
I, Jake Piantanida,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in this state,
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly perform
that I will impartially and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of
police officer
according
according to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We can take them for you. If you want all, if you want, okay. Whatever you want. Wait, can you take that picture? There you go.
Go for it.
That's okay. He can just raise his right hand. Oh, he doesn't.
I, James Alvino,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and in this state,
and in the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will impartially and justly
that I will impartially and justly
perform all the duties of the office of
perform all the duties of the office of
police officer
police officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
No, I took it off. No, we'll have that, next week or 2 weeks. Maybe. Don't move that way. Thanks, Mike. Oops.
Again, congratulations and thank you to the chief. I know it's not easy to get good officers on our force and it takes a lot of effort. So I'm glad you got 2 good officers on our team. Thank you.
Thank you for that moment with them. And excuse me, I'll be back in a few.
Absolutely. Moving on, there are no ordinances for introduction today.
I still got public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Moving back to, are there any public comments, right? We are going to open up for public comments for matters pertaining on the agenda. Can I have a motion to open it up for public comments?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any comments from the public? Absolutely.
On the agenda, something on the agenda? No. Then that would be at the end of the meeting.
There's a second public portion.
Well, we have to get through at least 8 resolutions. Yeah.
The resolutions don't look particularly controversial. Don't quote me on that, but I don't see a ton of discussion
Yeah.
in section 9. There's no way to say what time, but I'm saying I don't see any like large discussion items on here. Again, don't quote me on that, and ultimately it's up to the mayor.
Yeah.
I don't see.
We have to get through the items, yeah, in order. So I would say it could take anywhere between 35 minutes to an hour. Yes, and I can also say that you could join online and make your comments. Okay, so item number 7, ordinance for introduction.
There's others.
Oh, sorry, I am jumping today.
I didn't see him.
And I didn't close public comments either. Please go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to wait. I didn't want to rush up. Brett Anderson, 62 Brookdale Way. I'll try to keep it brief. So last meeting I had mentioned, I think it would be helpful for the community to be better educated on the reason why the committee is making some of its decisions. So to that end, regarding the the ordinance for adoption regarding exceeding the cap bank, I think it's important for the community to understand what that is and why that's deemed necessary. Something that I think the community should be aware of is the cap bank is allowing a municipality to save a portion of its allowable budget increase under the state's local cap laws for use in future budgets. The reason why that's important is because since the state of New Jersey has implemented caps on the municipality tax increases, we have been unable to keep pace with the inflation rate, as well as the increase to various expenses, healthcare, et cetera. And so that has created this gap essentially between what we are budgeting and what we can raise in taxes. That's part of the risk that we're running into with this referendum, as we are unable to keep pace with the increase in the expenses. We are not able to raise enough taxes, and we have this growing gap that we're filling with surplus funds. And those surplus funds are eventually going to run out. And that's part of the risk of running to referendum. So while it's not ideal that we have to raise taxes, the risk is if we don't raise taxes enough from year to year, that we will face a much larger referendum down the line when our surplus runs out. So it's a delicate balance. And I think it's just important that the community understand that. I'm not speaking to a particular rate, but I just want everybody to make sure that they understand why that's so critical, especially in the state of New Jersey and what we're under in terms of our restrictions. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Brett, for putting it so eloquently. We will also have another presentation next meeting on the 24th, where the CFO will be presenting this to the township as well as to all the residents when we adopt the budget. So thank you. Anybody else?
Just a quick question, relevant to this. Is there any way we can be flexible and let this woman just give her public comment? There's only a couple people here. It just seems like maybe we can be flexible and let her go earlier in the agenda.
I would be amenable to.
I'm fine with that too.
So I will have to open up public comments for matters not on the agenda.
Right, I think you gotta just do the whole public comment then, not just for one person. That would be my,
Yeah.
if you're gonna open it up, then
Is that okay with people?
if that's okay, if you guys wanna move it up the agenda, you can do that. There's no rule against not doing it.
Yeah.
I'll do that. So let me close this public comments and open up the other public comments.
Well, just to be clear, this is not instead of a later public comment, it's in addition to. So anyone who wants to choose, right, who chooses to make a public comment at the end of the meeting can also do so.
It's up to you guys.
Right, I mean, there's no reason we
Let's do
can't.
Public comments.
Yeah, we could have 5.
I don't want you to have to wait 45 minutes if we
Yeah.
can help it.
So I'm going to make a motion then to
Let's
close
go.
public comments, pertaining to matters on the agenda, and open public comments generally.
Move it.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I'm new at this dog license thing. Oh, my name is Kelly LaCava. I live 115 Galestown Circle, Chesterfield. Oh, so I am new to the dog license thing. I got a notification on Monday, which was the 7th, that, so I came on Tuesday to pay the $20 fee. Addie had told me because it was past March 31st that I had to pay a $25 late fee, but I didn't get this in the mail until Monday, and it was actually postmarked April 4th. So I came with my money to pay the fee, but I didn't want to pay the late fee because I just had received it on April 7th, and it was postmarked for April 4th. But then Addie proceeded to tell me that every year in January, that's when you pay the dog fee. But I didn't realize that I would have paid it in January. So pretty much I'll pay for the dog license fee, but I just didn't want to pay the late fee, considering I got it postmarked April 4th and I got it on the 7th. So I did come Tuesday right away to pay the $20, but she said I'd have to pay a late fee. And I was like, well, I don't think I should pay a late fee. I didn't get it in the mail till April 7th. It was postmarked April 4th. I have the envelope.
I don't know.
So pretty much she told me I have to come Thursday. She's like, Thursday after work, you have to come and voice your concerns to the group. And I was like, okay. So now I know for next year, every January, the dog license is due every January, she told me. So she, whether, so I'm like, okay, I'll come every January and pay the $20, but I just didn't want to pay the late fee because I didn't think right? Does it?
I appreciate you bringing it to us. Can you give us at least a meeting to speak with Agnes just to understand what it looked like from her perspective?
Oh, sure.
Explain everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
so to me, is
sure.
that a
Do
reminder?
you want to close public comment or?
Yeah,
because I
can
don't
we
want this
close
to go on
public
and on.
comment?
Yeah, she said it was, apparently she had sent a letter in December, which I never received. Obviously, if I got it, I would have came and paid the $20 rather than come here after work and, do this.
Once you close public then.
So I told her I might have got it in December with like the Christmas stuff and, all the junk mail. And unfortunately I didn't receive it. So I received this one though. And I came the next day.
Thank you.
So, oh, that's it?
Thank you.
Oh, do I stay?
We have to close public comment.
Yeah. So we have to see if anyone else has public
Oh,
comments.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any public comments? If not, I would like to close this section of public comments.
Thank you.
Motion.
Second, aye. All in favor, aye. I think Denise was the first.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
So what I can explain is that every year in January, and it probably happens like mid-January, we send a reminder notice out to anybody who has a cat or a dog. And that tells them that they have until March 31st. And we give them until March 31st because we team up with Mansfield Township, and between the two of us, we switch every other year to provide a free rabies clinic the first Saturday in March. And then they have the rest of the month of March to do anything before a late fee is kicked in. The ordinance was changed last year or the year before because it was taking so long for the dog licenses to get done. And we had an issue with a couple of unlicensed dogs that the fee was increased to $25 per month per dog with an incentive that it gives everybody 3 months to get their dog license. You have more than enough time to do that. And then it's $25 a month. It's more of an incentive for people to come in and license their dog. Not that we want to charge them a fee, but it's the incentive to get them here to do this. So last year was the first year that happened, that fee went into effect. It had been done the end of 23 is my guess.
How many late fees do we actually wind up collecting last year in this?
I would have to, well, this year there were a lot of notices that went out at the beginning of April.
Because I do worry that we're penalizing the people that actually come in. And I don't want to disincentivize people from coming in because I could see that happening. I know that was a problem for a while.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like we're penalizing the people who are trying to do the right thing.
But you have a lot of people that have already paid that late fee.
That's what I'd like to know. Can you get us that?
I can get that for you, sure.
I'd love to know how many people paid that late fee last year.
Last year, and well, already this year, all the licenses that have been done since April 1st.
Just so we have context.
And are these new people?
Usually the
I'd point
same.
out, I'm looking at the ordinance now. It's a late fee of $25 per month.
Yes, per dog or cat, either one.
So it's not
It's
for the
stiff.
entire year. If you're 3 months late, you got a $75.
You won't get just 3 months. It might get 2 months, and then you get a summons, which is a mandatory appearance in court.
So
It says 25 per month or portion thereof for each neutered or non-neutered animal. So I don't know if they're prorating per month.
It's $25 per month is the way it works in the system. Once that goes into you're put $25.
I'd love to know how it's been applied the last year.
Sure.
And maybe we have. I feel like
I can have that for you.
Yeah, thank you. I feel with that context.
That's an easy report.
More intelligence is just.
And can you just also tell us in that, have they been dog owners for the previous year, in the sense, have they applied for a license in the previous year? Is that possible?
A new dog does not get charged. So if somebody comes in with a new dog for the first time licensing their dog, they do not get charged
What
a
I'm
late fee.
trying to understand is that
Usually the same people year after year.
Yeah, they missed it this year and they missed it last year, or is the first time offender, the first time this happened, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we should be able to pull a report for that, but I'll look and see.
For this situation, would you be comfortable sharing your contact information with our township administrator, George, and then we can follow up with you?
We have it in the.
You have it? Okay.
I think we can agree that this be held in abeyance until we make a decision on it.
Yeah.
You know, and in my case, like I do have my dog license. I'm sure tons of people in Chesterfield that have dogs that do not have a dog license. Like she says, I'm trying to do the right thing. I got the notice Monday, I came Tuesday. to pay it, like right away. I'm sure she did send something in December or January, I did not receive it, or I would have just paid the $20. So I'm gonna do that then.
Yeah, but we are not going to make a decision tonight.
Oh, okay.
We need more information before we make a decision. So yeah, we will certainly let you know once we make a decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want, you can stay if you
You
want
can
to. Have a good night.
Okay, moving on. Can I have a motion to close? Oh, I did. So this is
Yes, we did.
Section 7 ordinance for introduction. Today, we do not have any ordinances for introduction. Moving on to Section 8, ordinance for public hearing and adoption. We have ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 2025-05?
So moved.
Oh, can I have a motion to open to public hearing? Ordinance 2025-05. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you say aye?
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there anybody would like to speak? I know Brett did speak about this earlier, but if there's anybody else? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close public hearing on ordinance 2025-05?
Second.
Aye. Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-05?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
I'll do a roll call.
A roll call.
Ms. Batra?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
No.
Ms. Codesdale?
Yes.
Mr. Litt?
Yes.
Mr. Dopty?
Yes. Good. Okay. Section 9, resolutions. So we have resolution 2025-4-01, recycling tonnage grant. Can I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-4-01?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Resolution 2025-4-02, authorizing the assignment of the contract for groundskeeping services to Riverview Companies North Jersey LLC. Can I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-4-02?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2025-4-03, authorizing the refund of tax overpayment for 73 Chesterfield, Georgetown Road, known as Block 901, Lot 16.02. Can I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-4-03?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution 2025-4-04, approving proposal from ERI for NJ Dot financial year 2025, Hogback Road Phase 1. Can I have a motion to approve resolution 2025-4-04?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-4-05, amending resolution 2025-3-09 to correct the property taxes to be cancelled. So did we have?
It was I put a preliminary amount in there and we can't cancel taxes until we have a tax rate. So it was to take that, and this was one I did prior and it just slipped my mind. So I was only canceling preliminary taxes. We have to wait until we get a tax rate in order to cancel the correct dollar figure.
Okay, so we jumped the gun by waiting for the budget to be approved and then doing.
By having a tax rate, correct.
Got it.
They're going to be canceled. I just don't have the value until we have a tax rate.
Got it. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-4-05?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-4-06. Authorize the Chief of Police to execute a memorandum of understanding to participate in the Arrive Together program. Chief, can you give us a little bit insight into what this Arrive Together program is all about?
Yeah, so the State Attorney General's office basically initiated this program, the Arrive Together program. Its purpose was essentially to improve outcomes of police encounters with mental health consumers. So the AG's office set forth this initiative. Every county has adopted it at different periods of time, and most recently, the Burlington County Prosecutor's Office, they adopted it, and so they've put forth a directive for all agencies to participate in this program. They've issued out an MOU, which I have to sign, and that's generally a brief description of it. So I have to sign this MOU, and we'll move forward with adopting the policy.
I
Are
can
they
just
good?
quickly comment. It's been a hugely successful program. The Attorney General's office put out, and I'm going to say a month or two ago, a lot of data about just how successful and helpful the program has been. So I'm excited to see that we're entering into it.
Perfect. One other thing, is there any training that they are going to provide here, or it's just information that
There may be training. I
There may be
can't say whether they're under any directive to put out training or when or where, but I'm sure there will be some.
Okay, that'll be good. Thank you, Chief. Can I have a motion? Oh, if there are any other questions? Oh, okay, second, Resolution 2025-04-06. Can I have a motion? Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to approve Resolution 2025-4-07?
I do want to ask Dom just what this is, if you can kind of put it in lay terms, Dom.
Probably Joe.
Or Joe.
This is for the
Wait, this is,
AAJ. This is the Chesterfield Liquors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they get their approval through the land use board, they have to post a performance guarantee or a bond insurance, basically, that says that they're going to complete the project and all the improvements, and they have to put up a bond for this.
Oh, so this is completely construction based, not liquor based.
Correct.
I thought this was referring to the
No,
liquor
no,
license.
no.
Okay.
and then they're posting the maintenance one, which is actually
yeah.
performance.
Got it. Okay. All right.
It's going to be the same for the next one, too.
So does that mean that they are going in for some more construction?
No, so what happens is once they're finished their construction and we've inspected it and we've signed off on it, then we can release their, by doing this, we can release their bond or their insurance against all the improvements since they're all done.
Oh.
And we accept in favor of that a 2-year maintenance guarantee that they have to provide. That'll expire in 2 years. You won't have to release it, but it expires in 2 years. That covers the improvements for an additional 2 years.
Got it. Thank you.
It'll be 2 years from this certificate of inspection, correct?
It'll be 2 years from,
Not 2 years from now.
yeah, from the, yes.
Yes, I think the the resolution spells out the date that it'll be good through. Yeah, it should be 26.
Yeah, well,
There-
my recommendation letter was January of 2025.
Yes, but they got their inspection back in
Yeah.
24. So
I'm good. I was just confused. I thought it was a liquor issue rather than construction. I'm good.
Can I have a motion to approve 2025-4-07?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-4-08, authorizing release of performance guarantee and substitution of maintenance guarantee for Sauder Brother Construction for project known as the Fellowship Cross Point Church.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Denise.
On that. That's okay.
Okay. Moving on to section 10, sorry. Can I have a motion to approve the bill list?
Motion.
Motion. A second.
All in favor? Aye. Section 11, reports and discussions. We have something to review from all the correspondences that we have received. So will that be you, George, who will be walking us through that?
Or do you have one in mind? I have several items here.
Please go ahead. No, whatever you
Okay,
want.
well, as part of my report, I'll encompass correspondence as well. A short time ago, the committee received a letter through the clerk's office from D'Angelo Electrical requesting to tie into the township sewer system. Based on that letter, I talked to our engineer. We had a discussion today. He sent me a map of the sewer system area, the access area. That business is not within the allowed area for sewer service. So what we were going to do with your approval is to communicate back to D'Angelo and let them know their option is that they may contact and try to work something out with the Turnpike Authority. Their driveway is directly opposite theirs on Ward Avenue. That's the only option that, Joe, you're aware of as a possibility.
For physically connecting, yeah. If they wanted to do that, they'd have to go to the state and have the water quality management plan amended to include their property in the sewer service area. So it's a pretty big lift.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if they're willing to do that.
it's kind of the only option they really have.
But other than that, we really can't approve them anyway.
Yeah, the township wouldn't be able to approve.
Our conventional connection.
We would have to sign off if they went through that whole process to get added. We would have to sign off on the change to the sewer service area. But aside from that, there's nothing that we can really do at this point.
So we are behind in order. They first need to go to the Turnpike and get approval from the Turnpike Commission.
Well, the reason why the Turnpike is because the Turnpike put in a pump station at their property a few years ago when I don't know how many years ago now, probably.
It might be like 5 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, it's before COVID, right?
Mhm.
They put in a pump station when they rebuilt their facility, and they installed a force main from that pump station all the way down to the manhole, the last manhole of the system on Ward Avenue in Crosswicks. It's kind of near Lee Panfilly's house. And so when they did that, they had the right to do that, and they went through the process with the state to get that approved to be able to tie in. But that force main is there, even though it's in our roadway, it's their force main, it's their pump station. And you can't tie another service into that force main because of the pressures and things like that. So the only option they really would have is to run their own force main in a pump station, which would need a slew of approvals, or try to get the Turnpike to allow them to bring the sewer to their pump station, which again is a whole, it's a pretty tough process.
Okay.
I don't think they're willing to go through.
I don't.
I think they were just asking to see if they could hook in.
Yeah, I agree.
So do we need a motion or we good, right? Because yeah, because it's not like we're just giving them information.
Yep.
Right. But they did make the inquiry for your permission, so
Yeah, so
if it's all right with you, I'll respond on your behalf.
and that's fine. I'm
Joe's help.
I'm alive.
I'll limit my comments now to just correspondence. The second item, some time ago, the committee received a letter from the Environmental Commission asking that we reach out and request that the developer of Bentley Farm, also known as Dream Home Developers, conduct an archaeological study of the site. And as you know, all the approvals had already been granted to the developer. So it was really up to the discretion of the developer whether or not they would want to enter into that type of venture. I wrote to the attorney for Dream Home Developers, and this week I received a response. I shared that with all of you. I also gave it to Aggie, who is the board secretary to both the Planning Board and the Environmental Commission. The developer declined to go ahead with that type of study, and they have a letter citing some of the reasons for that. So that letter has been forwarded to our Planning Board, our Environmental Commission, and also to you, the governing body. So that won't be taking place. I believe they did comment that if they did during their excavation encounter something, they would bring it to the attention of the township. But just wanted to update you and the public on that issue. Also, one last email ties into our discussion tonight. A resident wrote about the involvement of the HPC when it comes to the Bullock Mansion. And by ordinance, the members are entitled to involvement in securing and salvaging items of historical significance that may be in a building that would be demolished. But there is some vague language about whether or not they would be on premises, in the building. So the resident had suggested that that issue be looked at by the township. And as part of tonight's discussion, it looks like a hard look is going to be taken with the entire ordinance. So hopefully that item can be added to the discussion if there's a need for a change or modification. So that's all I have as far as communications, and just a few small comments that I'll say for my report under administration.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, section 12, administration, the mayor's report. So I do not have anything major to report, but one of the things that I wanted to do is, we had discussed this, I believe, 2 meetings ago, is that we do have a finance review committee that we said we should have all year round post the budget advisory committee. And I'm going to suggest that we set it up with the members of the budget advisory committee for the full year. And in my mind, they can meet on a monthly or a quarterly basis. We can get that set or discussed and set that time frame. But I do think with so many things going on, it will be a good idea for them to at least once a quarter review the finances, look at what we have, educate not just the public, not just themselves, but also the residents and the public on what is happening with the township finances, especially given the fact that we have a tight budget, especially given the fact that there's so many things coming up, and people are asking a lot more questions. I do think it behooves us to encourage the budget advisory committee to continue as a finance review committee and have them meet at least once a quarter. So I wanted to make sure that we all feel that that's a good idea. And if you have any suggestions or comments, please let me know.
If they're willing to continue serving, I have no issue with that at all. As long as those individuals are prepared to do it for a full year.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, do we need to have a vote on it, or do we just ask them to do that?
I think we had aligned last time that we want to have, we didn't vote on it, but last time we had aligned that we do think there's value in having a finance review committee. We just didn't formalize it last time. So I think if that needs to be formalized, then Dominic, we do need to have a vote on it, right?
Yes, this isn't in our ordinance, right? This is a new.
No.
This is a new committee, right?
I think it should be probably established and formalized via a resolution or ordinance so that they have specific guidelines to follow.
We could probably do it by amending the
That's good.
existing, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the budget, kind of
Yeah.
change that name of it
Yeah.
or slash.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea because we just formalized it. I don't want to go back to the informalities that plagued it before.
Yeah, and then maybe if we change the ordinance, it could be that they serve for a year.
Right.
And then in January when we appoint, or maybe before January, in the fall, we would change that committee and reform a new budget advisory, and then they would do that finance review during the year up until the following fall or whatever date we come up with.
I think that makes good sense. It seems like a pretty easy lift for Dominic.
But with alternating terms.
Well, it's just for 1 year.
It's just a
Yeah,
one-year
it's
thing?
for 1
Okay.
year at a
So
time,
you can
yes.
have a
So they
new,
can
you can
continue.
have a new committee every
Or they
year.
could still be the same if they so
Yeah, if
choose to
they.
be. Okay. No, I just want to make sure that there was some continuity. Sometimes it's good to have someone who's been on there through the experience to
Which I
For
expect
new
will
members.
probably be reflected in our appointments.
Yeah, we just have to kind of set that expectation with them that will be at least for a year, and they may or may not renew next year.
They choose not to.
So do we need a motion?
Well, it sounds to me like I think the way to go is you check with the existing members, right? Because it wasn't their expectation to serve for a year because you're making this decision like mid-year. But if they're good, then we could formalize it at the next meeting. If not, if you need to appoint different people just for the remainder of this year because you don't have enough from the existing budget advisory committee, then you'll have to do it, I think, at the next meeting.
That's a good recommendation, a good suggestion.
But then you'll have at least solid direction going forward starting next year that everyone knows it's going to be a year appointment. You're going to start with budget advisory, then kind of go into the finance review committee after that.
Sounds good. So Karen, can we follow up with those 5 members and see how many of them are interested? And if somebody is not, then we'll look at replacement members. Otherwise, we would like to those to continue, or at least majority of those to continue. And then we can formalize it in the next meeting. Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Moving on to members of the Township Committee.
3 things. The first, this Saturday, is the Environmental Commission's Arbor Day celebration from 10 to 12 here at the Municipal Building. We will be giving out trees, and we will also be planting a tree at noon. The second is just to reiterate my ask to update the signage at the recycling yard with our new hours, and to please post on Facebook, and if we can share and get the word out that we now have expanded hours as it gets warmer, so people know that that is available to them. The third thing that I want to talk about is at one of our meetings a few weeks ago, I brought up my concerns about the topic of the executive session then and tonight, that I felt like it was being done behind closed doors. And I had a lot of concerns that such an important topic that's going to impact everybody who lives in Chesterfield has not been public at all. And I think the solution to that was to do the ordinance that's going to follow our executive session. So my concerns have not been alleviated that we're now doing this resolution following an executive session when we know that the majority of people leave after executive session every meeting. I really think that we owe it to our residents to be transparent, to be talking about this publicly when they're here to listen to it.
I don't disagree, and I thought that was how we were handling it tonight. I don't disagree with you.
I don't disagree in the sense that, I mean, I think that, and I was going to suggest this actually too this evening, is to have Leah, I tried to find out her availability, but I think there should be maybe the May 8th meeting on the agenda, kind of like an overview as to where we are with affordable housing, and we'll be at that point where we are preparing the housing element and fair share plan. And so Leah can kind of give the public and everyone perspective as to what we're faced with and how we're trying to plan for that. And I think that should be a transparent and open discussion. However, settling litigation and things like that, I don't think should be out in the public.
No, agreed, but I think and I appreciate that, and I think it'd be great if Leah comes. I think that we need to educate the public. I also think that we're past the litigation piece of it, so I think that, I encourage people to stick around for after our executive session to hear what the resolution's doing. I think it's very, very important. I think we need to get it out there so that people can learn about what's happening in our town and how things are going to change.
So I think I'm trying to understand the concern here is that if we do have Leah coming in and presenting this in a township committee meeting next week, and then we adopt the ordinance, or are we just going to introduce the ordinance today? What's after the executive session?
There's no ordinance. It's just authorizing the settlement that we entered into already.
So can we then, because it involves negotiations and things like that, do you suggest then you approve it tonight and then share it with the audience on the 8th I mean, share the
Yeah, well,
responsibility.
I think, the piece for tonight is just, the number of units, right? I think where everyone should understand and get educated about is, how we're going to try to go about doing that in this
And
township.
that's the important part, because I don't think
It's
we
the
control
planning
the number. The
aspect.
number is given to us by the state, and we are.
That's not necessarily true. We do control it. We did control it. We took an unofficial vote on it that we're formalizing tonight in this resolution.
I think the difference is that Leah's part is how we do it, whereas tonight's part is whether we do it. I think it's two very different things.
And again,
Leah's piece is
I
important
think
for sure, but-
settling litigation, I don't think we should be talking about in public. That's just my opinion. You guys could disagree with me, but
No, I agree that we shouldn't be talking about settling litigation in public, but I also think that we've moved past that and there's a lot of other pieces that we could be talking about in public. And I think that we're choosing not to, and I think that's evident by putting this important resolution after an executive session when we know that members of the public leave after the executive session traditionally.
but the discussion leading to the vote of the resolution has to be done in executive session. I don't know the remedy.
I mean, that's not completely transparent. I mean, we've unofficially taken the vote. It's been decided. This resolution is just formalizing that vote. Right?
It is. That's absolutely right. I mean, if you guys want to do it now, you can do it now. Like I'm not, there was no intent. I don't want you to think there was an intent that I'm trying to hide anything, because it's a public resolution.
I want to be clear. I want people to understand what's happening.
I'm still confused.
I'm also
To me, we had not, the final numbers were still being negotiated, still being discussed and things like that. So I don't think we all aligned 100% on what the final numbers will be.
Final numbers were finalized 2 or 3 weeks ago.
We got an email
Phone call
to
from
that
our
effect.
attorney.
Yeah, we got an
I mean,
email, and
Dominic, you called each of us and you said, this is the number. Are you on
What they're
board with this, right?
Correct. I spoke to every single person.
would you align with that? But was that the final offer made or not? And we did not get anything back from
That was
the
final
status
number.
as of that day.
Yes,
The
and
status.
hasn't it been submitted to the state? I mean, aren't we locked in at this point? This is just a resolution just so that it's public how we all voted, but it's already done. It's all formalized.
Correct.
So our alignment was confirmed, and the status was supposed to come back to us, right?
Because of the deadlines. I mean, we all know. I mean, it was because we were, the timing of everything
Correct.
is why I had to discuss this with each and every one of you.
So we do need another executive session then. That's what I'm saying, right?
You really don't. I mean, we could have further discussion about it if you want. That's why we have it on the executive session. If you guys just want to vote on the resolution, you can vote on the resolution in public. I mean, you would have to vote on it in public.
Anyways.
Correct.
And then to your point, if we discuss it today, and the concern is that there will be no residents or there'll be nobody in the public, and then can we vote on it on the next meeting?
No, I'd want you to vote. I'd want you to vote on it tonight. I mean, it's like Rebecca said. I mean, it's already done. It's just a formalizing, it's memorializing, pretty much.
Yeah. To me, then that the only opportunity the residents will get is either they wait, or then they come in for the next meeting when we can have Leah present our plan on implementing it.
Well, I guess I feel like, to Rebecca's point, and first of all, Dominic, I don't think anyone's blaming you. I think it was the state's timing was horrid on this. So you had no choice but to do it the way you did. I think to Rebecca's point, it's not negotiation anymore because it's a done deal. So so all we're going to have an exec on this is discussion, which could be done publicly, right? I mean,
I think it's a controversial subject. I think that we owe it to our residents to be talking about it publicly so that they can hear where we are all at on it.
I agree, because we've kind of discussed it already anyway. So I'm fine with going ahead and voting on the resolution.
Yeah, I mean, just like you could do it anyway, because once you have a motion and a second, there's discussion, right? So then people can express, why they're going to vote a certain way and why, they don't agree or they do agree, vice versa.
So then can we create a resolution or a motion, resolution
It's on
2025-4?
I didn't put it on.
It was sent to you all.
Yes, it was sent to everybody and it's in that stuff there, I believe.
Okay, so then
But if we're gonna do that and not do an executive session, I just want to change the numbers, numbering.
yes,
We still have to do executive on, one
Okay.
other item, so.
on something else, but we can bring up that resolution now.
Okay.
2025-4- whatever number it is.
I'll make it number 9 because I'll just change the numbering, if you don't mind.
So can I have a motion to open up resolution 2025-4-09 for discussion in general session, or what do you call this session? Regular session?
I would prefer procedurally as somebody move it, second it, then you have discussion before there's a vote. You can have the discussion.
So can I have a motion to introduce resolution 2025-4-09 relating to affordable housing? Motion?
What is it called?
Is number 10 on, number 10 should be in your packet there. It's not in there?
Unless it's under a different name.
Yeah.
It was sent to us though.
Yeah, I did read it. but-
Give me like 2 seconds and I'll add it.
See bill list. I see engineering report. I don't want to go to the engineering report.
Okay, can I ask for a motion for a 5-minute adjournment? What Karen does it?
Motion.
Second.
Moved.
Aye.
Aye.
So are we having a discussion about this right now?
Yeah,
A 5-minute break.
Yeah, after a 5-minute.
in 5 minutes.
Can you fit?
Yeah, I got
Hey. Well, we need. Oh, pass girl. Yeah. Safety issue. So you can.
That's right. Talk about turning client stuff.
Secretary. Try to. What's the plan? Just giving away trees?
So I haven't spoke other than knowing what's going on and saying I would.
We'll put it in the queue.
I have a lot of things going on that day.
Just tell her. Say,
Yeah.
"Listen, meet me in Hogback Valley.
Maybe I'll just.
What your concern is, and hopefully there's something you might be able to do for them.
I think we have a rain day.
It's food. She's hungry.
Not sure how many people would show up.
Hogback Deli.
Yeah. I know I saw your flyer.
10 years. 10 years.
Next
week,
me and your buddy.
Okay.
Getting a big one.
You need that big of a.
Yeah.
We'll share it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
The drone pie. I actually am not eating
You're
pizza.
good though. Nothing serious. So.
Nope. I'm just
Yeah,
giving it
yeah.
up. Give it up.
They're fine. My older one is in college, so
Bueno.
I don't know, she'll be home once her exam. Because she has to, yeah, May 1st or 2nd. I was kind
Too hot.
of pleading with her. I'm like,
You're not
"Oh,
going."
come home for a week at least. Just study for her MCAT this year.
Bring an interpreter.
You're going to Mexico?
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Where is
Where
it?
does she go, sir?
Johns Hopkins.
I'm a citizen.
Yeah, so she's busy.
I got a passport.
My younger one is a junior in high
Nice
school,
knowing you.
so
do you
she has her
mean?
APs next 5 or 6. So she's been going through a lot of stress.
Yeah.
All 6 of them?
I hope you're still
I can't really help her much other than being there for
I don't know. Some bungalow I
I
found
had a
on.
big present
All right, you're good to go.
Okay, we're going to restart
Can I
after the
say-
break. I'm
Are we gonna
calling the
have
meeting to order.
discussion?
Yeah, we're back in session, Denise.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment before we have to vote. I can't remember already whether you had a motion and a second.
No motion.
No motion
No
or
motion
second.
yet.
Nope.
We just call the meeting to order.
Well, I'll make a motion.
Yeah. So I'm going to just 1 second, Denise. Okay, you can make a motion once we say what it is all about. So I want a motion to introduce resolution 2025-4-09, resolution authorizing the resolution of the township's fourth round prospective need. So now you
So
can
moved.
make a motion. So Denise, you made a motion. Anybody else to second?
Second.
All in favor?
Like,
I wanna-
you guys want discussion?
Yeah, I have a comment.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry.
this is the discussion before you vote.
Yeah, but you said
I thought it was
first
just
add
add
it
to
in
the
first.
agenda.
Yeah, I thought that was to
resolution
add
So
it.
just
Oh,
a
okay.
resolution.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Mayor. Sorry, jumping the gun.
Okay, so this is
So
just
it's
a
okay
motion
to
to
add it to the agenda.
add it to the agenda, sorry.
Okay.
All in
Okay.
favor? Aye. Now I want to open it up for discussion. Resolution 2025-4-09.
Can we ask Dominic to give just?
You want to have a motion and a second before the discussion?
We should, but I'll give a recap as well.
Okay.
Before,
Well,
go ahead, Denise.
all right, is this the time to have the discussion, or do you want to wait till we have a motion in a second?
Well, procedurally, we should have a motion in a second before we start talking about it.
Okay, I'll make a motion to move the resolution.
For discussion. Second.
Second.
Okay, and then I'd like to just say, prior to my vote, that I am going to vote in favor of this resolution. And the reason why I am doing that is I had given this a long period of thought, and we have already come down on our numbers from 60 to 45 during the negotiations. So my feeling is that I think it's very unlikely if we were to appeal this in a court of law that we would win. That's my opinion. Now, it could have gone differently. It could go differently if we should choose to appeal, but I just feel like I would rather work on trying to make the number 40 work than spend money on the taxpayers' money on legal fees to appeal this. So I just wanted to make it clear why I'm voting the way I'm voting. Thank you.
Can you provide a background?
Yeah. So this resolution's memorializing what essentially was an agreement reached between the township and Fair Share Housing during a mediation session under the new amended affordable housing law. So back in January, the township did adopt a resolution. Our number was initially assigned by the DCA methodology of we had to build 60 additional affordable units for the next round, which is a 10-year period from 2025 to 2035. Again, that number, every town in New Jersey got the number, a different number based on this methodology and a factoring of different things. Chesterfield's number was 60. We adopted a resolution. We had to do a binding resolution by the end of January, which we did, and we put our number out as not agreeing with the 60 and wanting a number of 16, 16 was what we wanted. There was a period of time where that could be challenged, and it was. One of the last days of the challenge period, we got a challenge from the New Jersey Builders Association to our number of 16 that we wanted, and we also got a challenge from Fair Share Housing. Typically, Fair Share Housing kind of is the driver of these things. And so what happens under the new law, the amended law, is once there's a challenge to your number, they put you into what they call the program, and you're immediately assigned a settlement conference. You get a settlement judge assigned. We had Judge Bookbinder from Burlington County. And you're also assigned a special adjudicator, which is typically a planner who's, knowledgeable in your area. And we got Frank Banish, who had some history and had a little bit of understanding of Chesterfield. And primarily our argument, and it's in our resolution, that's a public document that we adopted back in January, was, we are a truly unique municipality here. We have successfully implemented the TDR program. We're like the only municipality who's still doing that program and doing it quite successfully. And how can we, you know, get punished in the sense of, we've preserved all this farmland pursuant to this state statute, and we've done so effectively, but now you're trying to then lop on that we have to now build all these other affordable units. We don't have the space to do that when we're trying to continue our TDR program. So we went into mediation as per the law, and it's a very quick time period. You get assigned mediation. You have the mediation within 10 days. And if you can't come to an agreement, they then send you off to what they call a program session. It's almost like a hearing, a formal hearing with the judge. And at that point, the judge makes the determination as to whether your units are going to be 16 or the 60 number that was given to you or something in between. During the mediation session, we were told, and the arguments made against Chesterfield Township was, yeah, we understand you have TDR, that's great, but it's not contemplated for in the formula or the methodology in calculating how many affordable units you have. So tough luck, Chesterfield. You should have, talked to your legislatures back when they amended the affordable housing law, and they should have put something in there to offset this TDR program, but they didn't. So there's really nothing in the law that we could point to make an argument regarding our TDR program to kind of lower that 60 number. So from a legal perspective, we were kind of in a log jam where we didn't have an actual legal argument. We just had these almost like equity arguments and, look at our TDR program, give us some slack type of arguments. But at the end of the day, we have a judge looking at this, and they're looking at it from the statutory perspective, and they're like, you really don't have a legal argument to make to lower that number. If you just pop the formula in, it's coming to 60. So anyway, in the mediation, the judge and the special adjudicator were able, at the very last minute too, by the way, we are actually going to have our hearing or our program session. We had a one round of mediation that was not successful, but then they called us back to the table literally the day before we were going to have our program hearing or our official session. And apparently, after a little back and forth, Fair Share Housing, who was driving the bus from the objector side, so to speak, was willing to come off of that 60 number and was willing to come down, and the number ended up being 45, which is about 25% reduction in that number. And so at that point, we had one day to let them know, and there was no meeting in that one day. So I spoke to each committee person individually, explained the situation, explained what the offer was. We could resolve our number at 45, or we can just go forward with the program. And, I'll tell you, it was my recommendation, I'll say it publicly, to accept the number, because as I just noted, our statutory or legal arguments were futile, in my opinion. And I think it would have been, I still believe it would be a waste of money to challenge it. Speaking with our planner, she was also recommending to accept the lower number at 45. And so ultimately, based on my discussions with the township committee members, there was enough in favor of accepting that 45 number. So what the resolution is tonight is, for, again, transparency purposes and for formality, is to authorize via the resolution that settlement of reducing our number for this fourth round for the next 10 years from 60 units to 45 units. What would happen if under the law, the next phase is we have to plan. We have to plan for these 45 units. How are we going to put them in the town? And that's what I was just mentioning before, is I think we should have the planner here, and I think we should have some public discussion about what our plans are, so people understand what we're trying to do, and maybe how difficult or how easy it may be to achieve that goal or that number of 45. So that's what this resolution is. It's just to authorize that settlement that we reached at the mediation portion of this.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Dominic.
just wanted to clarify one thing, that the plan that is being presented and that will be reviewed by Leah, our township planner, in the next meeting is just a plan. It doesn't mean we have to do exactly what she's recommending. It's a suggestion, it's a recommendation. But what we have to comply with in this town is we have to comply with the 45 number unit in the next 10 years. So that's our obligation. That's what we in Chesterfield are signing up for.
I'll just one last thing I failed to mention was that fair share housing during this planning aspect now, which is the next phase, and we have to do this in the next 3 months or so, is they did say that they would continue to work with us, and there are additional adjustments you can make that they claim we may have an ability to do. They call durational or vacant land adjustments, where we might be able to get that number of 45 down a little more. So they seemed open. I just wanted to express that they did seem that they were willing, and they are willing to work with us and trying to maybe get that number lower during this next phase of the process.
Karen, could you do a roll call vote on this?
I think there's still discussion.
When we have the vote.
Yes, I will.
Thank you, Dominic, for explaining that well. And I personally feel it's better to work with the fair share housing people instead of filing a litigation, which is also a waste of taxpayers' money and resources. Just so if we are flexible, then they are, willing to work with us. And that's how I came to that conclusion, and I, put in my vote in favor of it. But it'll be, good for Leah to kind of also explain to us on how we want to implement the plan, because it's not going to be easy for sure, but I think that was the right thing to do.
So I'm a no. I was heavily involved in this process. I am on the subcommittee, the Affordable Housing Subcommittee, with Dominic, Leah, Denise, and a couple of other township professionals. I was on the first mediation with Judge Bookbinder, with the mediator, with Fair Share, with the Builders Association. I saw, how it was talked about. I think it's important to note that the law that was passed last year did have this entire appeals process laid out in it, because I think that it acknowledged to some degree that this formula that just broad brushed numbers across every municipality would have some flaws. And it has a lot of flaws in Chesterfield. It has a lot of flaws for a township that has worked so hard on its TDR program and is so big on land preservation, that it may not work for us to have to build an affordable housing unit of 45, and whether that's because of the sewer system or because of various other factors. The law does acknowledge that it may not apply to every town the same way. And I want to be absolutely clear that I support affordable housing. I think it's incredibly critical for our society to function that we have affordable housing. But that being said, I think that us just accepting 45 units, when we had other options, we didn't even make it to that final settlement. We just accepted 45 before we even got to the point where the judge would give us a final number. So the judge, the next day could have said, okay, well, you know what, we'll compromise on 30, or we'll compromise on 20, or we'll compromise on 50. We didn't even get to that point. We just decided to agree to 45. And I understand the concerns about using our taxpayers' money on litigation. I don't think that that is anybody's choice. But I think that we also have to acknowledge that the money that it's going to cost to build these 45 units, and in the way that the township is involved in that, is also going to be extremely high. So I don't know that that argument necessarily stands up. But even if we did, we never even made it to that point where that judge gave us a number. We just accepted 45. We could have gone to the judge. We could have then appealed the judge if that's what we felt was the right thing to do, but we never even got to that point. So I'm a strong no. I just don't think that that 45 is reasonable for a town like Chesterfield, given our really, really unique circumstances.
And I also voted no and will vote tonight on it for a lot similar reasons. I'll list them. I think number one, when the initial number of 60 came to us, we went back with 16, and that was a principled number. We didn't make that number up. We didn't pull it out of thin air. That was a number based on discussions with what our planner thought was sustainable. I certainly thought that it was worth fighting to get closer to that number. The system set up by the state, I think, was awful. I mean, it was in such a short time period that there was no way for Judge Bookbinder or in a hearing, the hearing that would have followed. I shouldn't say that, but at least with Judge Bookbinder and then with the mediator, there was really no way for them to appreciate or take into account the nuances and the sophistication of our argument on TDR. And I felt like it was worth continuing down the road to the hearing. And I fully expected the hearing to not go our way and that we would have to continue on with an appeal where we actually would have an opportunity to lay out what the TDR program is, why it should have been taken into account to a panel of 3 judges who are listening and who are able to comprehend and take the time with the nuance and sophistication that's required. I am on the resources front of this. I mean, I am almost never in favor of litigation. I think resolving things cooperatively is almost always the better way. If we take 100 votes on pursuing litigation, I'm going to vote no 99 times, but this is the exception. I just feel like our argument and our unique circumstances were just never heard because we were, like Rebecca said, we were so early in the process, in a process that was not meant to accommodate those arguments. And for those reasons, going from 60 to 45, so sure, there was a risk that we could lose and be obligated for 60 units, but that seemed to me like a pretty acceptable risk. I don't see a functional difference between 45 and 60. And I still think that it was worth fighting for in a better forum and venue for our unique municipality circumstances.
I already said some of mine, and I'm not going to repeat what I already said. But, first of all, I don't think that doing these units, I think we have to look at very carefully how we do them, that we don't compromise, and I will not compromise TDR in any way, and I'm sure the rest of the committee probably feels the same. But, we do have money that has to be used for affordable housing in our trust fund that we can I think leverage, but there's also a market out there. So I think that in terms of using resources, I think building affordable housing is not something that's going to be a huge burden to our taxpayers. I think we can go forward with that. Also, part of my decision in voting yes is exactly what Dominic said, in that the affordable housing folks did say that they would probably be willing to compromise. And to Matt's point, I'm always in favor of negotiation. So I'm also hoping that as we go through this plan over the next 3 months, or as we present it to them, that we can then say to them and have more of an opportunity, because of the time frame before, which we did not have, to educate the affordable housing people about TDR, that they would then agree to lower the number still further, without us having to go to a court hearing and spend a lot of money with a good chance that we might not win. So that's just my 2 cents into this. Thank you.
I guess that's part of my frustration, is that I understand there's an ongoing negotiation with Fair Share. I would have much preferred to engage in that negotiation from a position of some strength with an appeal hanging over their heads, whereas now the only leverage we have is asking them to please work with us. I felt like having an appeal hanging over their heads could have been helpful, could have given us some important leverage.
I'm just hoping that the Fair Share people will be reasonable about this and that they will come to some understanding. I mean, I think that hand in hand usually is, affordable housing, but also understanding of the environmental impacts and the the large responsibility that this township has taken for environmental and farmland preservation. And I think I'm just hopeful that with education, we can make them understand that, and also put a little pressure on to understand that this is an environmental decision as well as. So, yeah. So I think that I'd like to see us do this with education and trying to make it clear to them, and hopefully they'll agree with us.
One thing that I'd like to add is we did have Judge Bookbinder, who was part of the, I would say, he was overseeing this whole discussion with Fair Share Housing and with the New Jersey Builders Association. And we also had Frank, I forget his last name, Frank Banish. So both of them have a very good idea of the TDR program. Both of them, actually Judge Bookbinder was the one in the third round who did accept our TDR argument and reduce our third round, I would say third round obligation based on our appeal then. But this time it was very clear that, at least the way it was presented to us, that the TDR argument does not hold water with the current law, or the current law does not provide for any TDR type of exception. And we were very much, I would say, the way this was presented to us by Judge Bookbinder and Fair Share Housing was that, the option we have is to go through the legislative process and to ask for an exception. Given the current law, the TDR program exception doesn't hold water. And they were very unwilling to, let's just say, to recognize or make an exception, because if they make an exception for TDR, there would be other exceptions that other towns ask. So in my mind, taking the 25% reduction at this stage made sense. And I do think I'm voting in favor of this. And I'm going to vote a yes on this, because at this stage, it is very clear that the exception for TDR will not be something that will be recognized by Fair Share Housing. Now, that being said, certainly things through education can change their mind. So when we actually go to implement, they may reduce our number further if we are lucky. And then there are extraneous circumstances where other townships, say, appeal and win in court based on different exceptions or something like that, that opens the door for us to go in for an appeal. I'll be open to an appeal too at that point in time. But at this point in time, I do accept the obligation as given. And I as Denise said, that through education, we at the time of implementation, if we can get that further reduced by whatever that number is, that's something I'm willing to settle for.
Well, let's be clear, we're waiving our right to appeal by agreeing to this. There will be no appeal. It doesn't matter what another township does or doesn't do. We've waived that right if we agree to this.
Currently, yes. But that doesn't mean that situations don't change. Situations can change in future.
You're talking about round 5, like in the 10 years from now?
They didn't say.
No,
But
there could be.
Dominic say that they said that they might be willing to negotiate a lower number as we go through the planning process. Am I understanding you correctly, Dominic?
Yes. They said that there's an opportunity to make further adjustments to the number.
But that's different than being able to appeal.
Not
We were
appeal,
able to
yeah, not
appeal
going in
prior
court.
to agreeing to this. I mean,
Right.
We can always go
be
back
an
and ask.
Still
for an exception.
stand to have an opportunity, perhaps through education and working with Fair Share to get the number down lower.
I also think you referenced Shrikant, and it's interesting that Judge Bookbinder was a judge who made a decision in our favor on round 3, which I feel like that underscores the point I'm trying to make, which is that decision was made after the parties fully briefed the issues. They went in for oral argument, and they had time with the judge, and the judge was able to really understand what was going on. The volume of municipalities and issues that were before Judge Bookbinder there was no way he could stop and pay that kind of attention in this case. And that's not on him. That's on the state's program. It was set up that you had to go further. You have to go at least to the hearing and maybe to an appellate process in order to have that same argument heard. And I just don't think we should give up without having that argument heard.
The point I was making is he's pretty well versed in TDR and
Yeah.
what TDR has to offer. So he understands that very well. So we're not trying to educate Judge Bookbinder there. So he was acting in our favor, and he knew exactly the value that this program builds, and he was trying to, if anything, I felt that having him got us that concession or 15. Without him, we would have been in a different situation.
I understand.
Okay, if we have done with our comments, I think I'm going to ask for a motion to vote.
But we already have the motion and the second, and I'm just going to take a roll call.
Okay, let's go ahead with that.
All right. Ms. Batra?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
No.
Mr. Litt?
No.
Ms. Codestale?
Yes.
Mr. Dopey?
Yes. Okay. From an administration perspective, are there any? I do know you have a couple of things.
I'm sorry, Shriku. I don't think we finished with 12B with Township Committee.
Yeah, we're not done.
Oh, I thought we are done
We
with
just
that.
started with Committee Woman Hughes.
Sorry, I thought we were done with that. That's
Three of three was a bombshell.
That's sidetrack.
3 of 3 threw us off. Okay, let's go on. Anybody else in the Township Committee would like to make comments? Go ahead.
I just had two pretty quick things. Number one, so I hate to be a broken record, but that's the way to get things done. So on proclamations, so the reason the girls basketball team didn't come tonight is because they were at Camp Mason. 5 of the 6 girls are 6th graders, and I just didn't realize that. So we're going to have them in 2 weeks. However, I really think that every meeting we hold that does not include a proclamation is a wasted opportunity for us. And I'm going to keep bringing people up who I think should get a proclamation, but I'd love for the rest of the committee to get involved and maybe propose. I'd like it to be apolitical, obviously, and not controversial. So maybe initially we keep it to kids and businesses, perhaps. But it just seems like an opportunity to highlight people and businesses in our town that we're not doing, and it doesn't cost us anything. And
I know we have a couple like posters.
Well, I think not just
kids,
but I know in the past we have done resolutions
One
saying
moment.
for people
If you
under
didn't speak into the
control,
microphone,
but
because then she.
yeah, I agree, Matt. I think I'm a big proponent of resolutions. So I think it's great.
so I started with the basketball team. I would love for someone to, obviously you don't have to come up with it now, but I'd love for someone to come up with the next one just to keep it going. And if you don't, I will.
No, that's a great idea. And we do have, to Rebecca's point, we do have the photo contest and the Chesterfield poster contest that we are hosting at the Green Fair. So we can bring the winners and recognize them,
That's a great
once
idea.
it's done.
Yeah, I did have a couple of other thoughts as well, but one of the things that I want to recognize was the amazing thing that we did, the library for girls to code. That was a voluntary effort. At library, we have a lot of residents who signed up for the Girls to Code program and who participated. And I would like to recognize the library and the body that hosted the Girls to Code.
I love it.
And the girls who
I
volunteered.
just-
And the girls who
run the
volunteered,
group,
the
yeah.
voluntary team. Yeah,
What was it called? Girls?
Girls who code.
Girls who Code.
Oh.
To Code or Girls who Code?
Girls who code.
Girls who Code. Yeah,
GWC.
it's a voluntary program that a lot of residents in
Okay,
the
I got it.
town.
It just
I can
clicked-
send
it just
you.
clicked with me.
I can send you the information and we can talk
All right,
about it.
Thank you.
And then the only other thing I wanted to mention, I've said this before at some point, but I think tonight kind of underscored it. Section 6, public comments pertaining to matters on the agenda. I think it should be taken off the agenda because I think it's just asking for trouble. Because you have something like which happened tonight where, one person is commenting, another person has to sit through an hour and a half meeting. And there's a reason. I understand there's like a distinction, but to the person who has to sit there for an hour and a half, it probably doesn't seem like a meaningful distinction. And not only that, like, so the only things we're doing, so if we're introducing an ordinance, we're not taking action on it. We're just introducing it. And anything that's up for adoption, there has to be a public hearing anyway. And the resolutions are, I feel like they're pretty rarely controversial enough that someone comes to speak on it. I just feel like it also puts the mayor in a weird position if someone comes up and starts talking about something that's not on the agenda. Are you now going to shout them down? I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot of just asking for trouble.
There was a reason. And just to let you know, but the reason is that whenever there is something controversial, that was taking control of the meeting before we could even get anything done within the meeting.
So then maybe we can vote to put it on in a circumstance like that?
No, that's fine. I just wanted to explain why it was there.
That makes sense, yeah.
It was taking over the meeting and we weren't able to get to the meat of the meeting. And that was the reason that was changed to make it for agenda items only.
I just think it's agonizing for someone like the resident who was here today and, according to the agenda, would have had to wait an hour and a half. And it does put, I think, the mayor in an awkward position.
I agree that, but then at the same time, you don't want to move it up all the way at, at section 6 where it is, right? We want to have a public comments at section 13 when we have reviewed and discussed all the ordinances or introduction, all the resolutions that we are that we are going to approve.
I would say that there have been times in the past, I think, where there have been resolutions that I think people really want to speak to. So, I'm sure I would agree.
Yeah.
But I think that, and so if we did away with that and put everything at the end, I think that you're not allowing people to speak to a resolution that they might want to make a comment on.
So you actually have a mixed bag. I know it's like the lawyer answer, but there is a mixed bag. Like some towns, like instead of just having matters pertaining to the agenda, they'll just have two general public comment sections, one at the beginning, like where number 6 is, and then one at the end.
Okay.
There's ones that just have one at the end, or the third one is what you guys do, where you have one for agenda, one general.
It used to be just at the end of the meeting. And
Yeah.
then there were complaints that people didn't have an option to speak about any of the resolutions prior to the governing body taking any action on them.
So I think I'd be in favor of what Dominic suggested first, which is just 2 public comment sections, not limit the first one to matters on the agenda. I just think it's just too much.
You got to wait your turn, right?
But
This
would
person who
that-
came in did not correctly read what it says and was agitated probably. That's the reason why she or did not interpret it properly. But it doesn't happen that often because we clearly say we are opening up public comments from matters on the agenda. And
Yeah, but I
I'm
agree
not seeing
with
that
Matt. I
happen
don't
very
think we
often.
lose anything by just having 2 comment sections. You
Yeah,
know what
that's
I
how
mean?
I would
So
do it.
somebody that would have commented on, they're not going to speak twice, or maybe we could say, if you speak about something, then, unless you have something else that's come up or whatever, limit it that way. But I think to just have 2 public comment sessions probably is the best way to just handle it.
And also, I think it increases public participation because there are a lot of people who don't want to sit here for 2 hours, but who maybe would come and sit here for 15 minutes in order to talk to us about what they think. So I think it would increase public participation and attendance too.
I agree. I don't want to deter people to come bringing their issues to us. That's what we're here for, because they have to sit through an entire meeting.
Yeah, I like just having 2 public comment sessions. The first, neither of them limited to matters on the agenda.
we do have
I
public
think
comment sessions.
make that change, and it doesn't work out, we can always change it again.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I just want to just remind everybody that next week is the first Music in the Square, sponsored by the Chesterfield Alliance Against Substance Abuse, and that's going to be April 17th, starting at 6 o'clock, and it's going to be Patrick Hing is going to be our performer. He's the guy that played at the Harvest Festival, and at the the Alliance had the programming for parents, hidden in plain sight, and that was very successful.
Thank you for pursuing
Thank
that.
you, Denise.
Thank you for putting that on and promoting it.
Yeah, I was happy that, and I got some good feedback from parents that felt it was really helpful.
And Denise, can you please remind the public,
No.
which is my
Pardon
way
me?
of saying I don't remember, can you please remind us, what is the cadence on the music in the square? Is it every 2 weeks? Is it every month? What's the cadence on that?
It's about once a month. They start in April. There's going to be April, May, June, July, and I can't remember if there's going to be one in August.
Is it like the
It's not a set date. It changes. So this one is a Thursday. I think the following one is a Wednesday.
Okay.
They try not to on nights that say there's a township committee meeting. They also have to work with the the musicians. So, but there's flyers out there, and I think if everybody on the committee could make an effort to try and post them on all their social media so we can get the word out, it would be really helpful.
Good idea.
Will
Thank you.
do. Thanks,
I think
Denise.
it's already on the township website.
It's nice that we have it here. My family, we always bring like sandwiches and picnic there. I'd really encourage everybody to go.
Okay.
Can I quickly add a couple of things? So first, today I got the chance to see the demo for the street sweeper at the PWD building, and it was since I feel that since we have to follow the MS4 permit program for stormwater management, I look at it as a very smart long-term investment in our community infrastructure, because I got to understand how it works. Troy, George, we all were there, and the tech was kind of explaining the machine and how it works, and it seems like a very smart thing that has been put together. And it would, of course, efficiently clean up the debris, especially during the leaf heavy season when we need a lot of streets to be cleaned. So it'll not only keep our streets clean, but it'll also help prevent storm drain blockages. So I see the long-term investment, and I see why it makes sense. So I took a few pictures. If anybody wants to look at it, I'll be happy to share those. And I also think it's a good way for us to get into a shared service agreement, which we were discussing at the site. Because if we have the equipment, then we can loan it, or we can have other towns use it at a set fee or at a rate. So that's a good way to recoup the costs of the machine. So that was something I wanted to share with all of you. Second thing was about the Green Fair that's approaching, that's coming up soon. We are all busy prepping for it. Thank you, Rachel, for all the help and with spreading the word. We have a lot of fantastic vendors who are lined up. There's going to be music, food, a lot of good demos. We have poster contests. We have the art contests. We're hosting all of that. The EC may also, I think, raffle off a rain barrel if everybody comes to an agreement. There's going to be a watershed ambassador who's going to do a demo. We will also have a yoga demo by one of the residents in the community. So we've been working really hard to put this event together, and hopefully, if the weather cooperates, it's going to be a well-attended, nice event. So please keep on spreading the word about it. And yeah, one more thing I was gonna add was about, I know Susie, I think she left already, but she did mention us using these events as platforms where we can talk about the sidewalk safety concerns. So I'm hoping to kind of have a table or a booth there where we can just maybe give out some handouts to the residents, just to kind of make them understand whose responsibility it is to take care of the sidewalk, and just to kind of educate them about the whole thing. So since it's going to be hopefully a well-attended event, I'm hoping that we can get the we can use it as a community outreach event and get the word out. That's all I had to share.
Okay, I guess everybody in the committee is done. Then we'll move on to administration.
Okay, just a couple quick things. At our last meeting, Rebecca, you had asked about hiring
Okay.
DPW when we talked about the contract. Troy's here tonight. I had asked, I didn't know if he was going to be here. I did ask Troy to give me some info on what efforts have been put forth. And Troy, feel free to comment. But one of the things that he pointed out was we did run an ad in the Trenton Times for, I believe, a month. Also, that led into, I believe, Indeed, which is very, very widely read. And we got nothing, Troy. This is just an uphill battle to get candidates for these jobs in public works. I don't know what else you could add to the conversation, Troy.
I'm open to any suggestions, honestly. I talked to a couple other departments. They're in the same situation. They're posting on their homepage, their township webpage, their Facebook pages. They're in the same situation, and we're just not getting applicants.
So are there no applicants, or are all the applicants going to a small number of like larger municipalities?
A lot of the places, even the larger municipalities where they were getting applicants, by the dozens, they're getting trickles. They're getting 1, 2, and you're talking about a department that holds 40, 50 guys. So it's pretty widespread right now from what I'm seeing and hearing. We did have 1 or 2 people that came in, and by the time I called them on the phone, they had already found something else. It was within days of receiving an application. So I'm open to any suggestion on what we can do. Karen and I talked back in the good old days. We used to post it in the general store and such, but doesn't seem like there's any way to generate people to come in.
I wonder if, besides like the obvious is money being an incentive, I wonder if like there's different ways that we can set ourselves apart from other towns. And I don't know that we're there yet, but if it's maybe a 4-day work week in the off season, or, creative solutions like that maybe we can bounce around so that we can get people.
Yeah, but right now, what I'm seeing is both the Public Works Department as well as in our police department, it is becoming extremely difficult to hire. And this trend has started this year. Maybe it's a culmination of a couple of things in the previous year after the pandemic. I don't know what, but it's becoming extremely difficult to hire. Wonder what's going on.
Public employment in general is just changed dramatically over the last 10 or 15 years. For your certified positions, it's a grind out there to get new clerks, new CFOs. You're in other towns. If you look at the League of Municipalities, those types of positions, there's a lot of them advertised because so many people are retiring. Police, the trend now is 25 years and out the door. They're not doing 28, 30 years. The folks are just getting their pensions and running. And pension reform took a lot of the attractiveness of public employment away. People realize that they're going to have to work more years for a smaller pension. And the contributions to healthcare under Chapter 78 for somebody making $50,000 a year and they've got to contribute to their benefits, they're taking quite a hit. So it's a bad confluence of a number of things that are just driving people away. They're going to other places.
Private sector is very, very open and have made major accommodations that we used to have in government that they didn't. 401k plans, vacation time, sick time, and they're also making more money. So it's a combination, like George said, it's just a combination of everything.
The attraction was good health insurance at a very reasonable cost, if there was any contribution at all. And you got a pension. The pension's been watered down. PERS is now 5 tiers.
Yep.
Police are 3. So if you come in now, you're getting far, far less than someone that was here 20 years ago. People are aware of that and they're going elsewhere. There is a move to try to roll that back. I know the PBA is working towards getting our newer police officers put back into the original tier 1. I have a son that's tier 3. He's going to make a lot less and have to work a lot more years to get what people that were on 10 years earlier were going to get. So it's an uphill battle, but it's everywhere. It really is difficult. Got to keep trying and hope we can hold on to who we get. Really,
Retail-
it's everywhere.
Huge thing.
It's everywhere. Anything else to add, Troy, or is that good?
No.
As far as the street sweeper, I was there. It's an impressive machine. It's bigger than I thought. I said, I'm used to the smaller ones you see that are used commercially for parking lots and such. We did have a conversation with the sales rep. We were talking about the availability. I know Troy wanted to run something by you that would not involve an encumbrance of funds immediately, but possibly secure a vehicle if we make a decision to purchase it. If you want to talk about the letter of intent.
So yeah, they told us today that if we gave them a letter of intent, we could actually secure a machine. And that machine is coming in. It'll be available in 4 months. That gives Wendy the time to do what she needs to do to secure funds and so on and so forth. But that would secure us a machine. The problem that the world is having right now, especially New Jersey. New Jersey is one of 4 states in the union that's still held on to the Green Deal, where for every 8 vehicles that they sell, they have to sell 1 alternative energy, battery powered. Nobody wants them. So everybody's getting on the lists with the vendors saying, hey, we'll take one, we'll take one, we'll take one, put you on the list. The letter of intent takes you from 17th right up to then we're in that 8 zone. So they can guarantee us a machine within the 4-month time frame. The fear is with the new tariffs that are going on right now, with the way that the world is happening and everything's going, we're going to find ourselves in another COVID area when it comes to purchasing equipment. You're going to see the price go up, and you're going to see the longevity of the time that you can actually get the equipment, similar to COVID. We used to be able to buy pickup trucks within 2 months. COVID hit, took a year and a half. Same thing's going to happen with these larger vehicles. The letter of intent is basically telling them that we are going to buy this vehicle. It just gives us time from the township standpoint to secure the funds and have Wendy do what she needs to do.
I'm not sure we can do a letter of intent without getting the capital improvement plan approved by the township committee, because a letter of intent is pretty close to a commitment, but I would refer that to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would also check with Wendy, but like I feel like what you're feeling too on that. It's almost like you need like a certification of funds to do something like that.
So
I can check with Wendy tomorrow.
Yeah, I would check
and get her, standpoint of where she feels with the letter of intent and how that would bind us into a contract obligation, or what that would do. I strongly urge the committee to move in this direction, for a multitude of reasons. This is something we've been talking about for years. If we do not move forward with a street sweeper, you're looking at increasing your budget next year, my budget, upwards of $60,000 to $100,000 in your operating budget just to accommodate your stormwater requirements.
I'm in support of getting that equipment as soon as possible. Let's talk to Wendy and see if we can do a letter of intent. As far as I know, in private sector, we would not do a letter of intent unless we had, it's as good as making a commitment. It's just waiting for signing the contract after that and handing over the payment or arranging the financing. So talk to Wendy. If she's open to that, then probably that will be something, we could consider.
Sounds good to me. I'll talk to Wendy tomorrow and see what we can do. Again, I just have to strongly urge you to move forward with these capital purchases.
Also, we could talk to the salesman, Greg.
Yes.
And just see how they interpret that as
If
to.
it's a binding contract, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's their read on it?
Okay. The way I understood it was the letter of intent secures us a vehicle.
Access to it.
It secures us access to the vehicle within the 4-month time frame. They can have one built. They have what they did with the new Green Deal was a lot of the manufacturers, they actually bought cabs and chassis that didn't meet that requirement. So that's the ones that they're holding to build and sell. Once those are gone, then they have to do the new Green Deal, which is the 8 vehicles. And they have a bunch of people lined up that say, hey, put me on the list. The letter of intent pushes you to the front of that list. Because the letter of intent is telling them that, yes, we're seriously considering and we're going to move forward with this.
Past week, Committeewoman Hughes brought to my attention that the local improvement grant awards came out, and we did not make the cut. I talked to Joe today. I don't know, Joe, if you did your analysis of the awards, but the first thing that jumped out at me was it was a large number of boards of educations that got awards, which is kind of unusual
Hmm.
where the state grants.
Yeah, much higher percentage than in previous years. Even the county itself, there was about 25 awards the past 2 years. This year there was 15, including boards of ed and things like that. In 23 and 24, the budget, or I shouldn't say the budget, I guess, the total amount of awards was 25 million for 23, and for 24 it was like 19.5 this year. So I don't know if the program's running out of money or they reduced the amount of money they put into the program for 2025, but there's definitely less money to go around on top of less awards, probably related, I would assume. Less money, less awards. So
Will the state provide any feedback if you were to inquire?
not usually. I usually do request feedback, and they, we had X number of, you can only award so many, that kind of thing.
And as unfortunate as it is, this means that we cannot build that walking path from Fenton Lane all the way to the walking path that we are going to build.
That's what we
on the-
applied for, correct?
That's it. So, but the walking path that is already planned for the near the recreation center, that will be built.
That'll be built this spring. We're waiting on a schedule from the contractor, actually. That's contracted, awarded, ready to go.
But not the walking path from the road.
Yeah, the connection
Connections where we
from the crosswalk into the park, into the walking path that was the project we were going to do.
It's unfortunate. I guess
We can
What was
still.
state and the county is
What was the
giving.
estimated cost? Just
Uh,
curious.
Hours?
Yeah, if, for the cost of that
We
Applied
connector.
for
Yeah, they-
78, right?
$78,000 is what we applied for. So
Yeah, the
we can
problem.
pave it. Public Works could probably do a DGA path for now,
Yeah, we-
if need be, if you really want to do the connection, and then at some point in the future, we could pave it like we did the walking paths.
Yeah.
You save some money that way, and you could finish the path if he has availability and budget to do that. But as far as getting the state to pay for it,
Yep.
not going to be this year, I guess.
I think they're trying to put their band-aids on the school budgets.
I think they are too. I agree.
I know. But
I need more
that's what up is taking money from. Okay, thank you for that.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Is there anything else in the engineering report that we need to review?
Not really. We did meet with, I can run through it real quick. It won't take a minute. For Marjoram Road, we met with PSE&G, and they requested that we mark out the poles that needed to be moved so that they can move them. We did that yesterday, and so everything is ready to go there. We're going to advertise the project next week for bidding. Hogback Road, we already started the survey work. So once that's finished, we will get to our design and get that out to bid. We have a little bit of work left to do on the parking lot at Fenton Lane, and then also, it's the same contractor, and also the walking path. So I reached out to him. Me and Troy looked at it also yesterday, and finalized a couple little changes we needed to make to the entrance to realign the entrance at the driveway to the parking lot. So I reached out to that contractor. I'm just waiting on his schedule to pave, and then we'll get him right in there. Item 7 is the grant we did not get, so I'll skip that. I think the Olivia Way Park gazebo, I'm waiting on a delivery date. I gave the contractor the selection for the shingles and the roof and the flooring. And so as soon as I get a date for that delivery, that should be a really quick installation. Not a lot to do there. The generators at the pump stations, we've been waiting a while for generators to come in. They've come in. We coordinated with PSE&G and the contractor. We're ready to go. They're going to start next week with the gas piping, and then they'll set the generators. We'll be on temporary power there for about a week.
We waited for about 6 months here.
Sorry?
We waited for quite some time,
The
right?
generators, yeah, we did. Yeah, it was like 6, 8 months. A while. Let's see when yeah, we awarded it back in April. So the first thing we did was the submittals and approved the generators to be ordered. So that was probably May or June of '24. So maybe solid 8 months for sure. So that construction should start shortly too. So that's the only, I don't have any other updates after that.
Joe, was there a traffic study being done on Marjoram Road? Since you mentioned Marjoram Road, was there?
We did a traffic study prior to applying for the DOT grant for that. We did.
Because a couple of residents on the street had some concerns about the speed limit because once the roads get widened, people are just going to zoom past. And is that something
We
we're
didn't do a speed study, but I can get with the chief and see what's been written, and we can do a study. We can do a study after we widen it too and see how it compares to pre-widening, I'll say.
Mhm.
Yeah, the concern I heard from one of the residents is that it's likely to turn into a drag racing arena. I was just pleasant. I was not pleasant. I was shocked when I thought about that, and I said, "Our chief of police is here, and we would certainly be monitoring that." But
It's
they are like,
a long straight road.
yeah, so
Whether
it's
narrow
1
or
mile
not, it's
plus.
still a long straight road.
It's about a mile, right?
We can see what, it's pretty big project. And so to potentially add maybe flashing speed limit signs or something
Exactly.
like that.
And more
Your
than,
speed is
Mhm.
sign.
can we put speed bumps? So there's no way that's going to turn that into a flag and drag racing arena.
I do think there is something. We can talk about that maybe if it comes up. Historically, the speed bumps are initially good ideas, but then, people stop liking them. They're loud. Nobody wants it in front of their house. If somebody is flying down the street and hits that speed bump, it's a whole different problem.
What's it, 40 out there now, right?
It's at 40, yeah.
Somebody hits the speed hump at 40, they're going to be against a tree or in a ditch.
I know emergency
Speed
services doesn't.
speed bumps
like
are good in
it.
25, but that's
Okay.
And that road won't get down to 25. It won't qualify to be down to 25.
They do have rumble strips that you can paint on the road.
We could do that.
It's pretty straight a road. That's
very-
for
yeah.
sure. It's very straight and it's going to be broad. So it's going to be, yeah, we really have
Potential's
to
there.
monitor it.
Potential's there. We can sign it, and that usually works in the beginning, and then it kind of falls off a little bit. Or you may have to just go to like the enforcement issue again and just hammer it down until people realize.
We'll hear from one of the residents right here.
Like this.
We can paint the lines crooked.
It's not going to make a difference.
We'll hear
That
from
can
one
make
of
a
the
difference.
residents if there is any drag racing there for sure.
She'll be the first complainer.
First complainer.
Or the first one caught.
Good call, George. Or the first one.
Loser always.
Oh. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. So we did public comments, but we are in section 13, one more round of public comments. So I'm going to take a motion to open it for public comments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dawn Donahue, 79 Bourne Town, Chesterfield Road, Chesterfield, New Jersey. Was not going to come up tonight, but now here I am. A couple other towns, the way they do it, I will let you guys know, is they go into executive session before the meeting starts. The other thing that they do is if they are going to executive session, they'll say, we'll only be gone for a half an hour, 45 minutes. If you want to stick around and, if we have any information, they will. So it kind of lets the public know more along to your effect of, because most of us assume when you go into executive session, you guys are going to be done, nothing's going to be talked about, and then you go home. So that's why I think most people do. The affordable housing, I think you guys kind of dropped the ball on this, except for the two of you that voted against it. And the reason I say that is our governor is on his way out, and he is destroying this town, this city, this state. Like there's no tomorrow. Our energy bills are about to go up 20%. He doesn't care. He doesn't care what he does. He doesn't care about the towns. And let it be known, he can call me if he wants. He does not know anything below Newark or Princeton. Princeton is his limit. He doesn't know any other towns down there. He doesn't know our town from wherever. He doesn't know Bordentown, none of us. He doesn't know what our town is like unless there's a tragedy, he'll make an appearance. But I just think that he put this formula out there to serve whatever purpose, and he's not taken into consideration each town, what it is. And I think it should be on a case by case basis. And I think you guys really should have went all the way with it. And like Matt said, there's a time and place for everything, but I think this is one thing you guys should have like held steady, and said, hey, listen, we're going to fight for our residents, and this is what we need to, because at the end of the day, we can't afford much more at this point. And it's like, where is this money coming from? So that's, I think, what you guys should have thought to yourself is like, listen, in the long run, yeah, are you gambling dice to say, okay, maybe we will get 60, but what if we had went all the way and the judge says, you know what, based on your circumstances and your TDRs, 16 is a good number. Well, we'll never know, I guess. But like I said, it's a lesson learned. It's a hard lesson learned, but I think going forward, we need to think about that. And I think a lot of discussion needs to be had about it, and even getting the residents. And I do feel that, you should let us know, like let some of the residents chime in, because again, I'm all for affordability, but again, each town and each place is different. Like Burlington is building right by the movie theater, all these affordable houses, but they have that land space there. We don't really have it. You know what I mean? Or like New Hanover down by North Hanover is a tiny little town. They wouldn't be able to fit 45 unit. So I'm saying it should be on a case by case basis is all I'm saying. So please, next time, we can't go back. We need to go forward, but that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
8 seconds to spare. Got it down. 8 seconds to spare. You got it down.
Good evening, Brett Anderson, 62 Brookdale Way. Something that Dominic had mentioned caught my ear, and I quickly looked this up. So there was a mention that the Builders Association, I believe it was called, also appealed or filed against the townships. So I looked up, there were 159 communities that tried to present different numbers to the fair share housing, and also 68 of them, I believe, were their appeal or their compromise numbers that they were recommending were also debated by the fair share housing. It was roughly 68 or something. I wanted to see if the community could get a better sense of whether this agreement that we're coming to also alleviates the challenge from the Builders Association, because I know that Mansfield, for example, had run into a lengthy negotiation process and legal challenges. So I think it's also important for the community to understand whether it was just fair share housing, whether it was also the Builders Association, what were the other potential risks that we're trying to mitigate here. Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Hello, Steve Hazen, 447 Main Street. The young lady was here talking about the dog's license thing. She was worried about $25, and I'm not saying that's not a price, but you do realize that the HPC puts requirements on homeowners that cost thousands of dollars, as was mentioned in the working session. So when you redo the ordinances, there has to be something that takes into consideration, even though the 97 master plan says to use the least expensive materials to achieve the desired result. It seems like the HPC wants you to use the most expensive material to achieve the desired result, which is a burden on many in the township. Now, Chesterfield does have the very high taxes. So where's the tax break? If we're required to do something by the HPC, where's the tax break? The house across from the post office, they're going to want to replace their gutters. They said, well, put the same style up. HP says, oh no, here's this little document here. You have to put up style K. That's going to be more money. Well, where was their tax break for a township committee telling them they had to put up a different style gutter? And they just wanted to replace it. It's been on the building 30 plus years. It's a gutter. So the overreach is just too much. When you look at the ordinances, as we just saw with the affordable housing, the stormwater management, you don't like it when the state does it to the township. Well, some of the residents aren't real happy when the township does it to them.
Anybody else? Online. Can I have a motion to close public comments?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
I just want to quickly respond to Brett. So you're correct. The Builders Association challenged every town that put forth a different number, and Fair Share was more selective. That, however, whatever number you said is correct. But this settlement takes care of both of those. And I'm looking at Dominic because I'm 99% sure
Yeah,
that
no,
that's correct.
no, you're right. They actually they submitted a like a one-page letter saying that they saw what our settlement was and that they were not going to object to it. So it's like on the record.
Do we need an executive session?
Yes, very brief.
Okay. All right.
No action. I would say 10 minutes.
We can I have a motion to go into executive session?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
We will.
9:12.
Thank you for coming in.
Feels like
This conference will now be recorded.
Can I get a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.